beginning in a nice reclined posture, taking deep breath and taking time to relax and notice your body. Take one knee to chest, hug it in nicely. Keep breathing. Switch to the other leg and take several long, slow breaths. Release when you're done with both sides, and then lift the right leg, flex the foot and lower, and point the left foot, lift the left leg. Flex the foot and lower, and repeat a couple rounds side to side. This is mildly strengthening, and it's gently warming up the flexibility of the hamstrings. When you're ready, hold the back of the hamstring. You might want to bend both legs a little bit, or at least bend the bottom leg, and eventually you lengthen through the top leg and the bottom leg. Several deep breaths here. Make the breath as long as you can without feeling like you're struggling. Develop great endurance of the breath over time, so it's very long and smooth, and this will help to calm the mind as well as relax the muscles. We're going to be taking the knee to chest, hugging it in, just to build the core a little bit, and then relaxing, letting it all go. Switch to the other side. Hold the back of the hamstring. You can keep the bottom leg bent or both legs bent, and eventually you lengthen through both legs. We're going to do about 5 breaths here. Work on not just the depth of the inhale, but also having very smooth exhale. That smooth exhale is very good for calming the nerves and soothing the mind and emotions. When you feel nice and complete, switch to a knee to chest, tuck your chin, hug it in for just a moment, and then relax your head. Relax the legs, and take both knees to chest. Transitioning upright, you could roll to the side or you could rock straight up, and we're going to gradually make our way onto hands and knees. And we'll roll out the back. So exhale, rounding, inhale, lengthening. Continue a few spinal waves. Smooth movements to warm up slowly. Keep the hands grounded, pressing down into the earth. And when ready, take your first down dog. You can have the knees bent, but if it feels good, eventually you tone the legs, and you really want to lift out of the shoulders as well. The hips are high, deep breath. One more breath. And then we're going to transition back to hands and knees and lower to face down. Inhale, lift the chest, easy cobra. Lower with the exhale. And place the hands under the hips. Lift the right leg, half locust. This is very good for strengthening the posterior core. And we'll switch to lifting the other leg, half locust. We're done with both legs. Lift back up and press into downward facing dog. The heels could be up, the knees are bent, but if you're able to, you ground through the legs, lift the hips high. It's a big stretch for the legs. And we bend the knees back down. Extend the right leg, lift just hip high. Then lift the opposite arm, extended cat. go ahead and switch sides. This is a lengthening pose, and it's also strengthening many of the core muscles in a gentle way. Keep breathing, and when you're done with both sides, release. And again, lengthen the legs, but this time to plank, and then downward dog. Lifting the right leg high, extended dog. And switch to the opposite leg. Both legs down. And walk or hop to the top of the mat. Lift till the back's flat and then fold back down. Just like in down dog, you're welcome to bend the knees. That will make it easy on the hamstrings and low back. When ready, straightening the back, maybe bending the knees for this movement, upward salute. And exhale, arms relax. Double check that the feet are parallel. Next is chair. Lift the arms a little bit or really extend through the arms and bend the knees low. Unless the knees are sore, you can do a very moderate chair. Transition back to downward dog. And again, lift the right leg high. It's a big stretch for the hamstrings, also strengthening. We're going to do the other leg, so set the foot down and lift the opposite side. And then set both feet down when you're ready. Knees down. And again, lower all the way, face down. Stretch the right quadricep, and you can rest the head on the opposite forearm. This is called half frog pose. The foot can go to the side of the hip, and eventually the foot goes alongside the hip, going very low into the stretch. This gives you a deep release in your quadricep. It also creates a little bit of an internal rotation in your hip, which frees up your sacrum. Deep breath here. This is a big muscle we're releasing. And we'll go ahead and switch sides. Take your time. We'll aim to do about an equal hold, but if you know yourself, if you know one side is very, very tight, you're always welcome to spend a little extra time on that side. Deep, deep breath. Taking time to ease into it, really savor and enjoy the stretch. Still breathing deep. And releasing the leg. Lifting to neutral. And taking plank, firming the legs and lifting out of the shoulders. Pass through the plank to downward dog. Deep breath. Hips are high. Knees bend down and then step up with the right foot. Step up far enough so the knee's above the ankle, runner's lunge. You could have the hands on the ground, otherwise lift up and hold the thigh. This will help you to go deep, deep into your hip flexor muscle of the back leg. It's also a nice upper hamstring stretch of the front leg. Keep breathing and try and stay open in the shoulders and chest. After a nice long hold here, we're going to transition, gliding back, and then taking the other side. Leg up, runner's lunge. It's a simple pose, but it's a very powerful pose. As before, you could do hands down or lift up. Rest your arms lightly on the thigh. Keep chest and shoulders open. The spine is long. The stretch is deep in the legs, and the breath is even deeper. A good way to gauge how you should be in the pose is how you're breathing. If you're breathing in a struggling way, you might consider doing a little less physically, doing a little bit more work with the breath. The practice of yoga is both internal and external, just like we breathe in and breathe out. We're going to switch, lower all the way down, do a little push-up, and then lift the hips high, downward dog. Kneeling again. Extend the right leg, one more extended calf, and this time we're going to make a fist and flex the ankle and squeeze it in. This is contracting the bicep and hamstrings in ways that we don't normally do in yoga, and we'll do both sides. It's good to contract and stretch the muscles in all the natural ways we can. Staying with the breath. Now we're going to switch to a nice seated sequence. Gently sit, maybe sit on a towel or a blanket, and take a wide straddle. Take one arm overhead, take a nice side bend, and then flow and do the other side. Back to the first side, and again as a flow, do the other side. Now we're going to go ahead and do a sustained stretch. We hold the shin at first, and then maybe one hand to foot, and then maybe both. Stretching to one side, really isolating that hamstring and going deep with it. And the back rounds a little bit perhaps, but try not to slouch into a big heap. We're lengthening and breathing. It's a stretch for the spine and the legs. Really enjoy the breath. Be very present, try not to get ahead of yourself. And we're going to switch sides. The body's getting warmer and a little bit more open as we practice the sequence. You start easily, and eventually you might have both hands to feet, stretching and breathing. It's a meditative practice of releasing the body and staying focused. Use the breath to guide you. Go ahead and release from the stretch and bring the legs a little closer together, rolling out one femur, then the other. Sit in a cross-legged position, but have the ankles wide, so they're as wide as the knees, so it's like a square position. Take a forward bend, and enjoy a deep release in the glute muscles. The hips are stretching in a variety of ways in this pose, but mainly we're releasing the glutes and, of course, focusing on deep breathing. Sitting on up, and switch sides. Have the ankles crossed as wide as the hips, wide as the knees really. And then take a forward bend and sustain. Deep, deep breath. Have patience with the release in the hips. We're working on big, deep muscles here. sit upright, releasing that forward bend. Next, we're going to do a very brief meditation, or what I like to call quiet time. So sit cross-legged or any other way you like, and let's just close the eyes and relax, breathing smoothly about 5 to 7 rounds. And we can breathe deep and come back to the body, taking a moment to appreciate the time used to practice, and taking a moment to conclude today's practice. Thank you so much for joining. Namaste. There's a tiny bit of light rain just as we're done filming. And the sky is mostly clear. It's almost like the heavens are shedding just a few tears.